Concentrate power. You're in the dog zone for an hour. Come on. You know the number. 1-900 hot dog. 1-900 hot dog. 1-900 hot dog. Yeah, 9,000.
Welcome to the Dog Zone 9000, the official podcast of 1-900 Hot Dog, America's final comedy website. I'm the sexiest, most powerful, most dangerous man alive, even though I've just tragically lost my memory. Wait, it's coming back to me. I'm Robert Brockway? No, that can't be right. That doesn't sound right. I must have been thinking about my co-host, Sean, baby.
Hey, I was really hoping that I would get an intro like that, but in fact, it was my intro the whole time.
No, actually, I think it was wrong. I was really thinking of our guest, hot dog artist in residence, Rusty Shackles.
Gentlemen, thank you for having me back. Honored to be here again.
Curse you for taking my intro! I will destroy you with my cyber shock appendages!
Is it possible all of us are the sexiest, most powerful, and dangerous men alive who all simultaneously lost our memories? No, I'm sorry. That'd be fucking stupid if that happened. I don't bring that up for any reason.
It would be so dumb if someone made an entire line of comic books like that.
Who would do that? Before we get into that, Rusty, where can people find more from you?
I'm on Blue Sky and all the other places. I will say, though, we kind of debuted today. I worked on a game called Eras of Wrestling, a management simulator. If you've heard of it, if you've heard the podcast before, I've kind of alluded to it or touched little details here and there. But we actually got to show off some gameplay footage today. So it's called Eras of Wrestling. It will be out in February of 2026. It's little cartoon wrestling guys hitting each other. So that's probably fun for people. But yeah, and I'm just kind of doing stuff for the hot dog guys, Hardcore Gaming 101. Just whatever's cool. You'll just look up Rusty Shackles art. You'll find me.
And where can what's the most helpful thing people can do? Is it wish listing that game? Is that what helps?
It's so early. They just announced the release date time frame. So the company is called Checkmate Creative. If you look them up, they're on Instagram, Facebook, all the usual places. And you can keep track of the progress there.
Or just put it on the wish list in your heart and keep it there until it comes out and you can do something.
And congratulations. That looks pretty awesome. I want to plug Rusty's game. Double it up.
Oh, hell yeah.
Get the Eras of Wrestling with art by Rusty Shackles.
Now, that would normally leave me with plugging our site, 1-900-HOT-DOG. Come support us on patreon.com/1-900-HOT-DOG. But I'm not going to do that because I am legally obligated to promote my new book instead. It's called I Will Kill Your Imaginary Friend for $200. It comes out January 27th, 2026. It's been going well. It's been getting good advance reviews. There's a deal. There's a deal at bookshop.org. You get 15% off and an exclusive bonus story if you use the code Robert15. I don't know why I'm the promo code. It throws me off every single time I have to say it. None of that matters.
You were pushing for Hostess Honey Buns 15.
Pushing for Hunk Runner Up 2. No, I don't know. I'm sure it's automated, but it's wild. It's wild that they're on the first name basis with me based on a promo code. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. You have to buy it because I fucked up. I fucked up so bad, and I'm going to federal prison if I don't sell enough copies of this book. And there are two things that I don't like to do alone: high five and go to prison. I'm taking everyone down with me. Both these guys dirty as shit. You know what Sean's done. You know, you can guess at all the things Sean said. He just did like a complete history of
everyone who knows
butt sniffing.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's true. I just wrote an article about butt sniffing.
You wrote a comprehensive survey course about butt sniffing. I don't have to like dig up dirt on you. I just have to tell the authorities that exists.
I did realize after the 11th instance of butt sniffing that I uncovered, I'm like, I think this article tells people more about me than of the scandal I've uncovered.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it absolutely does. And man, as for old Rusty here, I'm just gonna say it, and I'm not gonna show it yet, but I have proof that Rusty has drawn some lewd art of characters whose IP does not belong to him.
I have no clue what you were possibly talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking if you do go to jail, we could possibly arrange like a task force of cyborg mutants to break you out. But that's off the table now.
Yeah, because you're coming with me. He's coming with me unless you buy my book. They're all coming with me. Everybody involved with this podcast, this site, I need you to pre-order my book and save 1-900 Hot Dog from me. Thank you.
Great plug.
Okay, today we asked, we've been asking everybody, we asked Rusty to pick out the single piece of cursed media that sort of, opened his eyes to the fact that they were like real maniacs that actually make the stuff you consume. That's like a pivotal moment when you're a kid. When you're a kid, you're just like, this exists and I either like it or I don't. But there's, at some point, you're like, wait a minute, real people did this. And they might be fucking crazy. And Rusty, what did you choose?
So I picked the moment that Image Comics was announced.
The entirety of Image Comics launch lineup is what he chose.
I think it's a good pick.
I tried to narrow it down, but just basically like there was a moment in 1992 when they showed this picture off of these 7 guys whose mom dressed them for this photograph to announce that they are leaving their gigs at Marvel. And it was kind of hard narrowing it down with all the stuff the other guests have chosen with different forms of media and all that. But I was a huge comic book kid, and I never really thought about like necessarily like, I was, here's Spider-Man, that's good enough for me. I don't need to think about John Romita Jr. or Ron Frenz or whatever. But eventually these guys kind of started to make the comics more about following the creators, and as a result, I was like, oh, these guys, all my favorite guys are going jumping ship. Let's go see what this is about. And from there, like, it kind of like broke the kayfabe of comics too, because it also, like, they were talking about money and like what's really going on behind the scenes. But also too, in a weird way, I think it also kind of kicked off a terrible parasocial, which is the big word now, relationship with the fans and the creators that kind of still continues to this day. So in a weird way, they broke comics by making it for themselves. Which it's just it's a weird loop. But I did think about it though. I was like, this is a bunch of guys who were associated with a brand who went off and did their own thing. And I was like, hey, that's kind of familiar to the guys in this room, I would think.
Oh no.
Oh no. We're Rob Liefelds. Oh no. What have we done?
Scramble and choose. I'm Mark Silvestri.
Everybody wants to be Silvestri. That's no fair.
You have to hurry and choose. Otherwise, you're going to be Rob Liefeld or Todd McFarlane.
Shit, I already said Rob Liefeld. I fucked it up so bad.
Yeah, man, Image was a huge... I was a nerd of a certain age when Image spun off, and I didn't really get the like behind the scenes part of it, just because I've never really followed that very well. I'm a bad fan. But what I did get, even just from the content of the books themselves, was like, oh, this is a label of nothing but bad boys. Oops, all bad boys.
Yep.
Every single one was just you knew he was leather clad and riding up to the office on a Harley he did not know how to ride. just like it was so edgy and so cool, and they each really did their own thing, often the same thing, which they should have coordinated on a little bit better for their launch titles. But man, that was very different. It was a very different thing than Marvel Comics at that point.
I was also super into comics, but this kind of just bounced off me. Like, for instance, I don't really get Spawn. He's kind of like a Ghost Rider or Silver Surfer, and they're both cool, but also like, what are they? Like, what can they do? It's hard for me to get my head wrapped around like how they can fail or overcome something, and like what's a clever application of a Spawn power. I don't know. I guess I like watching Captain America solve a problem, or Spider-Man overcome impossible odds or whatever, or Punisher spray vengeance into a VC battalion. Love it. But like, how does a Spawn lose a fight? Like, he's just some rad tattoo who came to life and loves to perch. You know what I mean? I just, so when I saw him, I'm like, he looks rad. Like, I could see him being on a van, but I don't want to read about him.
He actually has, in the toy line, he actually has a number of vehicles. He has like a kind of like a NASCAR thingy.
Oh yeah, making a Spawn Hot Wheels car was the easiest design gig of any Hot Wheels designer.
I think we're going to talk about the actual comic later, but like you're talking about his powers. I think Spawn is the first edging hero because he has all this power he can use, but you don't want him to use it. So he's basically kind of like, I could do all this shit, but you don't want to see me do it yet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, we'll get into it more when we get to the comic, but that was Spawn's whole thing, was that he did have potential untapped, like, limitless power, but he had like a countdown. He could not use all of it, or his like time was up. So like,
right. So he's like certain stages of Green Lantern. Like we get it. It's not a.
It's the best because that comic started out like, I only really read in depth the first issue again, but I remembered reading Spawn when it came out, and I remember thinking like, oh, okay, he's like evil Doctor Strange. You know, he's like this magic guy who's got all sorts of these crazy powers. And then like a couple issues in, he's like, fuck it, I'm not going to use any of my powers. And it's just guns. He just gets a bunch of fucking guns. Right. And you're like, wait, Doctor Strange said fuck magic and then just got a bunch of guns? That's the comic?
He's like a hobo zombie Doctor Strange kind of.
Yeah.
It was so funny when they just drew them all cool with the guns and you were like, what?
If I got that pitch, Doctor Strange throws away his magic for guns, I'd say, you are drunk as shit, Garth Ennis, but it's a yes. You got the green light.
It's a yes.
But I mean, it was a huge thing because I was such a sucker for all this stuff, and it was like a real like us versus them mentality, and like they also like turned against other creators in the field. Todd McFarlane famously had a fight with the writer Peter David about just the nature of comics, and then it continued in Eric Larson's letter pages for like 10 issues, like 4 full pages of letters of them going back and forth. So, I mean, it's not too, it's like, if you're a wrestling fan, all of this should be very familiar to you right now because you are being played into supporting these people who do not care about you.
I would say it's less wrestling and more like YouTube drama. Like, I think they've invented YouTube drama.
I can do a little of the history. I watched a documentary called, what was that called again, Rusty? It was Image Revolution?
Yeah, it's on Tubi for anybody who's interested.
Yeah, I watched that. So the basic history lesson is just that these guys were all independently hot shit, and they were starting to be followed as creators, and Marvel was not treating them as well as they should have been treating like their biggest players. And so they sort of unionized. They all got together and thought, well, fuck these guys, we're going to do our own thing. And so they organized and they left en masse to make Image, and the Image is creator owned, so they would each own their own comic book. And that it was great, except for none of them brought a business guy. Like they all just recruited all the other artists.
Oh my God, we are them. Brockway, we are them.
He is 100% correct on that in that analogy. That's exactly what happened. So they got to discover a sort of business as they went, and as a trial of errors. They made a lot of enemies. They became the bad boys of comics. They became the biggest fucking thing in the world. I was into Image when it launched, if only because like, oh, here's a new thing. Like it's a thing that I could be there for the start of. Everything else, like even Malibu had been going for a while. So like there was this, can I just hop right into this kind of idea? And it was no, like people had such dense
money.
history.
At that era, an issue number 1, that's like going to be worth $1 billion someday.
Yeah, everybody thought that. Everybody thought that was going to be. Here's the thing: I had like all the issue ones of all this stuff, and
yeah.
And I was not an investor. Everything was out of the package and read and spilled stuff.
Dude, you're sitting on like $17 if you find. Well, probably not. You probably won't find a buyer for that, but you're sitting on like 25 cents to 30 cents.
Oh, I will say I was
real reluctant comic shop owner saying, "I'll take these off your hands, but I can't give you more than like $2."
I was into it, but it never once occurred to me, oh, this will be worth a lot of money someday, if only because they were so popular. They were printing millions and millions of these. Like, that's not how you make a super... I understood that as like a 12-year-old. That's not how you make a super valuable comic. It's rare, and then it picks up, and you're like, oh, okay, let's see where it started back in Detective Comics or whatever. When you're like your issue 1 is the biggest comic book in the world, it's not going to be worth jack shit.
It's like wanting money for like Super Mario and Duck Hunt. Because everybody has that one. Who cares?
Yeah, nobody gives a shit, man.
I was once in a video game store. They had like wallpapered their wall with Mario Brothers Duck Hunt cartridges. I'm just like, It just felt like really aggressive. Like that's kind of
Yeah. Just in case you walked in there with one and you had to look around and be like, oh, never mind, guys, never mind.
Grandma's closet was not a gold mine, I guess.
I'm gonna hardball them anyway. They need one more. I see that empty corner up there. So Image was huge, and we're talking about a handful of temples. There was more than this, but we're talking about Savage Dragon by Eric Larson, Spawn by Todd McFarlane, and Youngblood by Rob Liefeld. And Rusty's right; it's a very hot dog thing. We've independently both made fun of Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld. They're very funny.
It's true. Never Eric Larson.
Yeah, that's a new one for us.
I'm not going to today. I love Eric Larson.
If I'm reading this right, sounds like I'm going to go first, but yeah, dude, like rereading this was like, hell yeah, dude. Like it was hard.
It's fucking awesome.
I know, right? But the funny thing was it too is because like, he came in after Todd McFarlane on Spider-Man, and he was like once Todd left, I was like, oh no, but he gradually grew on me. And all of the Image founders really were in a race to suck off Jack Kirby while he was still alive. But the thing about it is like, Eric Larson is the only one whose art I felt like actually invoked Jack Kirby. Like he has that bombastic, everything that's happening on the page is the most important thing happening in the world right now vibe. So that's why I really loved this comic. And it was kind of interesting reading it because I think I sent an email out because this is the version that's in the current trades is not the original version, because he went back and added a few pages that are very clearly, hey, I just saw the LA riots on the news. I don't know if you may like go like a loose through the chronologically or.
Well, just give us. Well, we got 3 comics to go through, so give us like if there's anything you wanted to talk about in particular. Otherwise, just give us kind of an overview.
Basically, yeah, he's an amnesiac, wakes up in a field, and that's because that's how most of these stories start, and becomes a cop for whatever reason.
I think that story is really good because so he wakes up and he's like, I don't want to be a cop. And then this other guy's like, no, we need a strong cop. And he's like, I don't even know my name. I don't think I should be a cop. And then he gets a job at a warehouse. And then some supervillains attack. It's a Death Adder and an evil ponytail Punisher, if I'm not mistaken. And then he like fucks him up. And then they're like, we're going to kill you. And then his boss is like, dude, you are out of your mind. Like, now they're going to kill me. And Savage Dragon's like, no, dude, I'll protect you. And then I swear to God, the next panel, the warehouse explodes. Yeah. Like,
it's so
it
abrupt.
doesn't even explain why. It is like, it's shorthand for a story by a genius who truly doesn't give a shit. Eric Larson rules.
And I was like, of the 3, the ones we read, like he actually like his story beats make the most sense. Like in one issue, like he actually covers a lot of ground.
Hell yeah.
And also, too, like he also shows like the other heroes are like being picked off and killed. So there's no more heroes left. Who will save us now? And Super Patriot is actually like I think it's a character design he had in his Spider-Man run. He kind of like repurposed to like, no, I'm taking that back, which I respect. But yeah, it's kind of weird too because this is a book. The Humble Bundle is like the one I had recently read. One of the guys who blows up the warehouse. Kind of throw some words around like, oh yeah, we don't say that anymore. It's kind of weird to see this. Yeah. So unfortunate. If you do go back and read these kids, this was made at a time, and they just kept it at that time.
They are bad guys, though. I mean, they should speak unspeakably.
It's fair. It's just a little odd.
And they're like, when I say they're bad guys, I mean like they are toy line bad guys. Like they show the villains, and it is like a cyber shark man and like this alien muscle thug. They got like a pervert with spikes everywhere, and this is just a Doctor Doom. They just got a Doctor Doom. It's just a fire hose of comic book. I love it so much.
Because the depiction of it, Savage Dragon is just like he looks like an iguana. He's green skin. He's got a big fin on his head, but he's just a really buff guy in like a summer cop uniform, like a beach cop uniform.
Yeah, like a bike cop.
Yeah, he's got like a Baywatch cop uniform on, and like the rest of it, like all of his supporting characters are just cops. They're just cops in cop outfits, and then the bad guys show up. And they're just full comic book, and you're like, "Whoa, hold on, you don't belong. This is a mismatch. Like you're not in the wrong comic."
Yeah, virtually every character should be like shown bursting through some styrofoam cups in a kids commercial.
Exactly.
They have that energy, and I love it.
It's great. I love the moment where Fred dies. I just want to really drill into that. And Sean brought that up. That like it seems so abrupt, but it seems so abrupt because like. Eric Larson is clearly very experienced, much more so than Rob Liefeld or Todd McFarlane at this point after reading all of these issues, together. He's much more experienced in like sequential art. Like it makes much more sense from like panel to panel. Like
Great
you can see
storytelling.
movement. And so for him to deliberately display that moment as like Savage Dragon going, "No, I'll protect you," and then the next panel is just an full explosion. Like
Yep.
there's no cut to a bomb or a noise or a click or something.
And he knows he's supposed to. He
He
just
knows he's
doesn't give a
supposed
shit.
to. And he's just like, no, huge explosion.
I think that's what I love about him because you say he's like Jack Kirby, and I definitely agree. But he's also kind of a Rob Liefeld if he knew how to draw and was familiar with art. Like his anatomy is crazy. Every lady has gigantic tits, but like in a fun way, like as artsy as you can make what I just said look. Like if something looks crazy, it's him making choices, not a bunch of mistakes because he's confused, like Rob Liefeld. So I don't know. There's a cartoon logic to all of his action. It's awesome. He's, I say, my top 5 Spider-Man artists, probably. Top 10 easy. Just to see if you agree, Rusty, I'm gonna throw some out. Here's the rest of my list. Steve Skroce, Mark Bagley, Humberto Ramos. I'm Not a Monster. I'm going to give a spot to Ditko, Mike Wieringo, Mike Zeck, Romita Jr.
Bagley was never one who grabbed me personally. Everything just looks
Ridiculous.
so naughty. Yeah, well, honestly, I hate to throw shade at him, but I don't know if you knew this or not, but he's actually back in the 80s when Marvel did the Marvel Tryout comic. He was the winner of that.
Oh, that's so cool.
In my head, he's just a contest winner. Like I'm like, yeah, sure.
That's
How
pretty
dare
boss,
you earn
though.
it through merit?
Yeah, right? Like that's,
He should-
I don't know. That's boss. I like that. I like him more.
I agree with you. Humberto Ramos is again. I like the people who make Spider-Man look like a weird little freak, and like he's all knobby, and like that. Like that's what the Ditko run established. Like he should be in awkward poses all the time, and Larson's like that too. McFarlane, of course, too. So I also actually I came in during the Ron Friends run, and I apologize for everybody we're losing right now with the inside talk, but yeah, like. It's whoever's like your first Spider-Man artist is usually your favorite,
I suppose, yeah. Did we lose you, Brockway, or do you have a favorite Spider-Man artist?
No, I'm here. I just don't. I said earlier, I'm a terrible fan. I'm a terrible fan about everything. Like if you ask me my favorite band, I can tell you my favorite band, and then you ask me like, oh yeah, name a member of that band. Fucking no, I can't. Total blank.
Oh, Ricky Rocket.
I don't know. I don't know who that is. I'm assuming Motley
He's the
Crue?
drummer for Poison. God damn it.
Poison. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I'm a terrible fan, which sucks because as an author, I rely on people being good fans, and I don't have the brain space for it at all. I'll just be like, I really like the Spider-Man, and then somebody will point out, well, all of the Spider-Mans you like are from this one guy, and I'll be like, oh, that makes sense, huh?
But at the same time, though, too, like I'm also kind of cursed with like whenever I go to a store and I'm with my kid, I'm like. He's like, hey, look, this shirt, this Spider-Man. I'm like, oh, that's a John Romita Sr. I'm like, oh, God, who cares? Like, nobody about you cares. Like, oh,
Dad, it's Spider-Man.
You're so confused, Father.
But at the same time, though, too, like, that's what Image kind of got into my core, where I'm like, I'm thinking about the artist who made this, because that's, like, it's not just, the Spider-Man #1 shirt of him crouching over. It's a McFarlane one. So there was some, like, importance. It did kind of, it beat that into my head to make that part of it. But yeah, so the other thing too is like I really kind of thought about this today with rereading the Savage Dragon. There is the part where he inserted after his dragon joins the police force, he berates and attacks an officer who is racist as hell. And it's clearly this was inserted after the original publication, after the LA riots and all that. Then about 2 pages later, there's this man on the street interview thing where a guy just says incredibly racist shit on the page. And it's like, all right, so Eric Larson, for every step forward he makes, he takes about 5 steps back. And if you look up Eric Larson controversy, have fun, because you're going to see where he does something like pretty progressive and you're like, hey, good for you. But then he'll just draw like possible kid sex. And you're like, God damn it, Eric.
Yeah, doesn't Savage Dragon get really darkly horny?
It gets weird later on. So, let's just have this moment right now.
I mentioned there was that Spike pervert villain. And the reason I knew he was a pervert is like Eric Larson had very deliberately drawn like a little zipper on his codpiece. And I'm like, okay, this guy takes his dick out a lot. Like
he needs that out.
He didn't have to draw it. Comic books, don't need to answer the question of how that guy pees. That's part of the part of the fiction. We just allow to, like, we don't. You have artistic license to put these people in strange outfits, but this was just like, hey, readers, this guy takes his dick out a lot. So yeah, I guess that makes sense just from that one cod piece I saw.
It's probably his largest spike, and you gotta wait until the final fight scene.
Exactly.
I mean, I probably stopped buying comics on their regular like 2002. I mean, it was a little while ago, but yeah, I mean, I stuck with Savage Dragon probably for the first 120 issues or so. I remember there was actually like a Silver Surfer kind of alien lady, but like all gross. But she had like two children, like two babies hanging out of her that were still on the umbilical cord, and those were her weapons.
Hell yeah.
Baby chucks.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome. Like the more I'm talking, like, yeah, this is why did I leave this? So.
I don't know about awesome, but
I feel like the second that gets touched by another writer, they think, oh, what if we killed one of the babies and it's just hanging there for the rest? The real tragic character. Like, it feels like a real 90s thing to do, to add like a dark sadness to a character. Like, we had a guy named Speedball when we were kids, and like he sucked, he bounced. That was his power. And then like they had him involved in like a school slaughter. And then he's like, oh, now I'm really dark. And they made him so he had a suit that like poked him all day long, so he was in constant pain, but also
penance.
Yeah, penance, yes. And I was like, that's the fucking perfect, like, dark comic book transformation.
Because I think his power was still bouncing, right?
Yeah, but it was constantly charged up. Yeah, that, like, whatever made him bounce, that kinetic, like, feedback was constant because he was always getting, like, poked by his spikes.
Yes.
And so then all that bounce power came out as, like, this death laser.
But within the hardcore suit, he was quietly bouncing.
Yes. And this is precisely what I'm talking about with what I like about comics. Because Spawn, you can't do shit like that with Spawn. His powers are so non-specific. Whereas this guy's like, no, he has bounce powers. And they're like, oh, how would that work if you like put a spike on his dick all day? You're like, oh, I'm glad you asked. And like,
turns out really well, actually.
The science is quite simple. The bounce gets reverberated through you. You get it. Science.
All right, let's move on to Spawn. I'll go next because in booking this podcast, I gave the guys the feedback that like we do have to cover 3 comics, so we got to be a little brief. And I am going to assume it's Sean who will ignore that completely, and has 7,000 pages of notes ready to go.
I'm shocked about Rob Liefeld. I have nothing to say about Rob Liefeld.
I'm going to go next and be brief, and we can just cut Sean off at some point. Like the podcast will just end partway through one of his many comic book rants.
I'm so pissed off right now.
So I chose Spawn by Todd McFarlane, of course, and you won't believe this, but it's about a super powerful, really sexy guy who lost his memory and has to be kind of a crime stopper. What are the odds that 2 of the launch titles that we've discussed here are both not only the same story, but that story is RoboCop. They're making RoboCop. Beat for beat
awesome.
RoboCop. Yeah, it's hard to blame him. I can't be mad at Todd McFarlane because he's like, I wish I wrote RoboCop. Everybody does. Like that's if you're just gonna put like an aesthetic filter, you're gonna put a Slipknot filter on RoboCop. All right, fuck yeah, let's do it. Like that's fine.
Slipknot filter on RoboCop is the best way I've ever heard anyone describe Spawn.
I mean, that's really all the story was. The background is he was a mercenary, he was unjustly murdered, and he made a deal with the devil. Now he's back to life with those infinite powers, but without most of his memories. He's going to get them back as the book goes on. And he's fighting crime all while doing that, and also fighting things from hell. And it kind of rules for the time. It was revolutionary for the era when comics were in the early 90s, still kind of peak goofy. We hadn't really transitioned to hardcore edgy. This is sort of what started it. And Todd gets credit for that. The first issue is really just all that setup. One thing I do like that he does is whenever he needs to get into like exposition pages, which ideally you shouldn't do at all, But Todd does a lot, and he does that at least in an interesting way, where he'll cut to a full page like media breakdown, and it's just all the channels covering the contents of this world, which is something action movies do.
Well, I think too, actually, this is like very much they were all like post The Dark Knight Returns comic. So like Frank Miller kind of like made this his thing. So I think Savage Dragon did it as well too. There's a lot of like, yeah, I know where you guys got this gimmick from. So.
But also, every Stallone movie,
yeah, oh sure.
Like, it's such an action movie thing, and that's the kind of like that's what Image sort of brought, and Todd McFarlane in particular brought this real action movie sensibility to comic books. They became structured much more like a Steven Seagal direct-to-video movie. Which,
right, yes. Because it sucks. Like when you're before, it's like this really strong voiceover section. It's like, I'm gonna die a second time. I'm this cool shadowy voice. Look at me. I look fucking awesome. I'm a Ghost Rider Spider-Man. And then it just screeches to a halt with like 6 panels of newscasters. Like Spawn is a guy who gave to the United Negro College Fund. You're like, what are we reading?
But it's a novel way to deliver that exposition, because before then in comic books, it would just be a guy standing there saying all of that. And like,
sure,
you shouldn't do that anyway, but it's nice to see that he stole beats from action movies to do it. Mm-hmm. It made it read a little bit different.
Agreed.
Not good.
I'm calling him out on a certain page because a lot of the flashbacks are cool. And obviously, as readers, Todd McFarlane wants us to watch each other fuck his wife from the shadows. We all understand that.
Wait,
but
we remember
he
that.
He also does like a lot of cool things. Like there's a lot of interesting angles. There's some high concept panel work. Like at one point in the first issue, like the guys like warp out of the narrative and like float in a void while there's an abstract cityscape behind them. Like that shit is cool and way cooler than it has to be, at least. And like I appreciate stuff like that. That he's trying to make art.
Yeah, he really thrives in those. I think those are like flashback memory kind of sections.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's like one page where like he's reminiscing about Wanda, and it's like there's multiple panels of her follow. It's almost kind of flows like the number 2, but like organically on. It's really like that's really well.
Cool.
Like for his absolute disregard and lack of care of anatomy or where eyes go on the human face. He's really good at like at directing the reader's eye. Like he's a master at that.
Yeah, especially in the abstract, like it does get interesting. Some other interesting things, like I said, I read Spawn when it came out, so I thought I was not going to have any surprises from this. But rereading it, I did have a few surprises that I did not remember. I didn't remember that Spawn met his wife at the 1984 Republican convention. I didn't remember that. That's canon.
He was a black Republican in 1984?
Yes, he was a black Republican.
That's the most absurd thing I've heard in all of comics.
Ironically enough, his power is 999, which I think was the Herman Cain tax plan. Okay, that's a deep cut, probably.
It is a deep cut. It's what a nice German lady said to me when I asked to pee on her. That's from that. Tim Meadows, Tim Kaine. Look it up. It's so great.
I also learned that Spawn was voted one of the 10 sexiest men 2 years prior to this story taking place.
Pre, like, burn scars or post?
Pre.
He's talked about it on the E channel, like energy, like he's Smart Talk Soup. Like what?
Yeah.
Are you talking Michael J. White? Because yes, absolutely. But like Spawn?
Also, I mean, keep in mind he is not like a celebrity. He was, even in the comic books, he's a Marine who like disappeared from the public eye in shame and became like a mercenary. And they're like, oh, we got to vote him one of the 10 sexiest men. All the votes would be like, who?
Was he at least like an Akumite or something like that, where we could see it? He had like the world's fastest roundhouse or something.
I just love that he's that when Todd McFarlane's like, who's the coolest guy I can imagine? Well, definitely got to be voted one of the sexiest
man of the year. Absolutely.
He knows 13 kinds of martial arts and 10. He's fluent in 10 languages.
And he's Republican. I got to get that in the first 5 pages. They got to know. Right
around that
top.
time, it would have been Mark Harmon, I think. I'm just kidding. I do not have all of People Magazine's Sexiest Man's Alive memorized. Jamie, cut this. Cut this from the podcast.
God, if that's accurate. You're in so much trouble if that's accurate. So the plot of this comic book is...
I'm going to look it up. If I get it, You owe me $15.
I owe you a
Harmon,
hit with my car if you know
sexiest.
that. If you have categorical memory.
1986. He was sexiest man alive in 1986. I missed
All
it by
right.
6 years.
Well,
So just barely grazed me with your car.
I'll hit you with my motorcycle. How about that?
Okay.
Okay, so the plot of Spawn, it's not a ton of plot. It's mostly this exposition of this guy. He doesn't remember who he is. He's back from hell. The only real conflict is he goes to stop rape in progress by a band of guys. Their leader is named Shank, and he has a shank. So it's strong branding, real strong branding.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I'd buy that toy.
What I love about this scene where he confronts them is that it's not like even like early Batman where the criminals have no idea what this lunatic is supposed to be. They're not like, whoa, look at this guy dressed in the pajamas here. Like one of the gang sees him and goes, he's one of those Youngbloods, like instantly clocking him as he's a superpowered guy.
Try knife. Give it a shot.
And Shank, God bless his can-do attitude, says, who cares? Check this out, guys. And then Spawn just throws him through the window.
Check this out.
He's like throwing him outside a window, but they're inside an alley.
Don't come to Todd for like continuity, for understanding environments, for knowing how bodies work. But come to Todd for a guy named Shank who's like, superpowers? Who gives a shit? I got a knife.
The second guy did that too, right?
The second guy does it too. He sees it
I'll
happen
show
to
you how
the
to
first guy.
Shank. I should be the one called Shank.
Is extremely fat second in command watches this happen and it's like, hey, nobody jerks with me. You're like, I just did the stuff to this guy. And anyway, Spawn, because Todd McFarlane knows what rules, Spawn just explodes them all with a fingertip spark. Like, fuck this conflict and stakes thing. He's just like, no, fingertip spark. And then it blows up the whole rest of the gang. And then he, instead of just really like farming that moment, he stands in front of the victim that he just saved and then has like a complete gibbering breakdown because he remembers his wife. He's just like, oh, wife, oh God. Yep. Like, that's a really funny thing to do.
It is pretty funny. And it answers the question I had earlier, like, how can Spawn lose a fight? I guess he just sometimes flips out and falls asleep.
Yeah, he just passes out because he remembered his wife.
That's his kryptonite. If he sees a lady with her shirt half ripped off, he's like, oh no! And then it's 9 pages of flashback.
There's a little B plot about the cops that are going to investigate Spawn, and you know they're investigating the murder of all of these of the most positive and optimistic gang members in the city. And then it all ends on the devil. What is his name? Malbolgia? Is that Malbolgia? And he's laughing and saying, "Ha ha ha, Simmons." That's Spawn's name. If you think you've got problems now and you're like, oh shit, it's the last line of the comic. Here's where the devil says something super fucked up and cool and evil. And what the devil says is, I promise your troubles have just begun.
It's amazing he made a comic for people who have, it was like he was Korn before he actually worked for Korn. This is a Korn comic, like it's like a Slipknot, like you said earlier.
I didn't know he worked for Korn.
Yeah, he actually he directed one of their videos, and the Follow the Leader album he did the artwork for.
Oh, here's a question that I shouldn't ask. Did he do a good job?
Hey, if I was a Korn fan, sure, I guess, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's very much like, are you mad at your dad? You'll love me. Like,
Yeah.
that's his whole brand.
I feel like I've never seen a second thing out of Todd McFarlane. So, like, if you hire him to do something, he just does the one thing, and you're like, yeah, that's exactly what we wanted. Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, I wanted you to do Spawn. Can you make all of us Spawn? Yes? Fantastic.
Would you like to watch each other fuck my wife on Satan's Carousel?
That is pretty Spawn of you. Okay, that's it. Those are all the notes I took for Spawn. Sean?
Great notes. I did Youngblood, and I didn't take any notes at all. I don't know why you thought there'd be a lot of notes. But I do want to say this was the very first Image comic. I think the pre-order, it set the record for pre-orders. Like, everyone wanted Youngblood. And when I was a kid, I didn't know that Rob Liefeld couldn't draw, I guess. So, like, I did a lot of studies of comic artists. Like, I think that's how most nerds learn how to draw. So I have tons of bad copies from my childhood of like Arthur Adams and Joe Madureira art. But Liefeld studies like straight up make you feel like a genius when you're a kid, because like any sixth grader can do them. It's how you draw before you learn how to draw. He'll have toes and fingers backwards, and he can't do foreshortening or perspective or backgrounds. But like when you're 11, it's like, this looks kind of awesome.
I don't like, shitting on other artists, but at the same time, though, too, like, if you want to know what it feels like as an artist to look at AI getting ahead, look at Rob Liefeld.
Yeah.
Because you're like, there's so many mistakes. How is this getting by people?
I think in that documentary on Tubi, somebody said it best, where they said these felt like comics for 13-year-old boys by 13-year-old boys.
Yes, exactly.
And like, they meant that sort of metaphorically for the rest of the crew, but like literally for Rob Liefeld. This is what the comic guy would show you, what the comic kid would show you in 7th grade. And he'd be like, "This fucking kicks ass. Do you want to draw this on my binder for $1?"
I think I carried his failures with me through life longer than I should have, in a way that like if you see a cubist painting, you're like, "Oh, I could do that," and then like an art historian will be like, "No, dude, like that person is a fucking really talented, accomplished painter. They're making choices here." Rob Liefeld can't do it. Like these are all mistakes that we're seeing, like just nakedly, and not in a way where like you get what I'm saying. And so like I would be in art school and my teachers would be like, "Oh, you can't just draw crazy shit." And I'm like, "That's the crazy shit's the cool part." Like, "Yeah, but you don't know how to draw a tree." I'm like, I don't need to, So I carried this failure of Rob Liefeld with me probably a little bit into college, where I would have this really terrible attitude because I was a bad boy of art school. Like Rob Liefeld was the bad boy of not knowing how to draw. Yeah, I guess I also was the bad boy of not knowing how to draw. So yeah, we have a lot in common. But anyway, Rob Liefeld was just like, he had like kind of a party attitude to his failures. Like, fuck it. Here's the guy with his hands on backwards. He's got no feet. Maybe he's underwater. I don't fucking know. I don't try that part. He's also just Wolverine, by the way. And his friend is Cable. And his other friend, Cable also.
With a little bit of Wolverine.
Yes. So this comic opens with a real bad drawing of a guy in a suit. You could tell Rob hated this. He's got like a red balloon next to him. I think it was supposed to be a TV or something with something on it, but fuck it, red balloon. There's a bunch of news stories about war. And I just talked about this in Spawn, how like the storytelling of putting 6 panels of newscasters on your page, it sucks. But here it's so much worse because every sentence is a sentence fragment. Like someone's changing the channels too fast for you to know what they're talking about.
Because he's seen that in action movies.
Yes, exactly.
And he's like, that's how you do it. Only in a comic book, like you don't get that interruption. You're just like, what the fuck, man? Stop it.
Yeah. It is the first thing you see here. There's a guy named Hassan Hussein, and I think he's fighting Cairo. There's like some kind of religious cult that took over Israel. It's all just background world building, except it's not a guy in front of 50 TVs taking in the sorry state of the world. It's 6 very deliberate panels of shitty generic heads in front of some scratchy lines. I don't want anyone to think I'm saying this lightly. I genuinely think there's no worse page in comic history, maybe period, but definitely like it's when you talk about success versus good ratio, like if that makes sense, like for something so popular to be this absolutely inept is crazy. It'd be like if Star Wars opened up with Peter Cushing eating a jar of diarrhea and saying, "What are you doing? This isn't supposed to be part of the movie." And then we get Star Wars. So anyway, he recently remastered the comic and they cleaned up a lot of the art. They rearranged the pages, rewrote all the fussy outbursts to be kind of coherent, and they cut this page. So he knew it sucked.
I just gotta say, I did not see, like, again, I probably bought and definitely read Youngblood #1 when it came out. I didn't remember it was about Israel and pro-Israeli genocide.
Maybe. It's hard to be sure, but I'm 80% sure that's what this is about.
I think that's what that was, because they're coming into Israel, and they're at one point, one of the guys, Sci-Fire, even does the Trump talking point, and he looks around and goes, "If it weren't for like these locals, this would be prime beachfront property." Yeah, like,
I do. You're not going to believe this. I have that in my notes. But it cuts from all that crap to just our heroes jumping out of the sky. It's this huge reveal. And like they needed sort of it's a bird, it's a plane type of moment. But instead it says, "But wait, over there, the helicopters. Mumble, sor, not." I swear to God, it says mumble, MNMSOR, not, question mark. There appears to be an unusual aerial assault. That's how they describe 50 superheroes jumping out of the fucking sky. And let me describe the superheroes. It's a Wolverine. It's a Black Cable, a White Storm, another Cable who's either gigantic or drawn wrong, a big guy who looks like a Flesh Colossus, and then just a bunch of generic green X-Men guys. There's no background. We don't know where the fuck they are. The big Cable is named Combat, and he's big, but not as big as like you're first given the impression of. I think he's probably like 10 feet tall, but in the first drawing, he's like, that's a 39-foot tall man. Because again, Rob Liefeld thinks sometimes when things far away from you, it get big.
I think at one point, I don't remember where it was from, but I think at one point Rob Liefeld did draw somebody whose like power was changing size, and it was so hard to tell that was their power because everybody else was constantly changing size too, and you're like, I don't know how to take this.
Yep. He had a way of like he just didn't erase something. So if he drew a guy and he looked wrong, he just kept adding lines to it until like, whatever. He's just sort of lost in some cross-hatching. You can't really tell what's supposed to be there. But yeah, there's, I don't think there's any way for readers to know these people. Like at the time, I don't think there was any press releases that kids would have gotten hold of and say, oh, I know this gentleman's name is Combat, or that Wolverine's guy is Coog. But that's so he's sort of like having everyone yell each other's names in really stilted ways. So it'll be like, come over this way. And then they'll say, I'm not doing that, Coog. And that's how everyone talked also, by the way. Like someone would say something and then their dear friend and training partner and combat brother is like, fuck you, you fucking shit, dickhead. And they're like, why did he say that?
The Mountain Monsters rules to improv.
Right. Anyway, everybody's drawing wrong. The Wolverine guy's named Coog, like I said. The Colossus, no, not the Colossus guy, the Cable guy throws him, which is, I mean, Colossus and Wolverine, they own that move. They have a name for that move. It's incredible to like open your fight scene with the most famously stolen move in all of the media. Babe says, shut up, Sci-Fire. I liked that because that's her first line. Sci-Fire, this is the thing you mentioned, Brockway. He sees all of the war zone. He says, I should have bought this land. I've always wanted beachfront property, babe. And I guess that means he's rich, but not rich enough to have already owned beachfront property, except like in this neighborhood, which is yellow or sometimes pink void. We don't know what this is, but he's like, he sees the land they're destroying. He's like, dude, I could afford this.
Yeah, especially after we finish killing everybody here. Nobody's going to want that. The blood-soaked land. I'll build a
great
resort
spot
on
for
it.
A resort. Yes, Gaza Resort. God, that was a real thing that happened in the news. We just like allowed it.
Rob Liefeld predicted the news.
It's fucking.
We're living in the Rob Liefeld future.
So I think Babe is a water lady, which makes her swimsuit make sense. So at first you're like, that is a weird, sexy leotard for her to be wearing, even for comic books. But it's like, no, she's like a water lady. So, and she has trouble making waves. Like they're in the desert. And so she's like, oh, it's really fucking hard to make stupid waves here, you dumb assholes. That's because that's how everyone talks. The action is absurd. Nothing means anything. Guys are punching guys or shooting floors, and then a bad guy shows up and everyone's gloating and wisecracking. And I'm like, I genuinely have no idea what's happening. And this is my favorite form of art.
Nobody's worse at sequential art. Like reading all of these back to back. There's another thing from that documentary where somebody in a pro way, in a very enthusiastic way, said, Rob Liefeld, man, he's like the Michael Bay of comics. You're like, oh yeah, that's true. In that I have the same thing. And then anytime I watch like a late era Michael Bay movie, I have no idea what's like where people are in space or like how things are working. Like this is visual nonsense to me.
And it's like you're assaulted with proper nouns the entire time. Like with reading these three, I'm like, I am not accepting any more new names for anybody in my head anymore. It was just nonstop. Hey there, Impact, Charlie, Riptide, Knuckle.
Right.
At least you can guess their name by looking at them. You can guess their name by looking at any character. What's his name? Warman. Yep, pretty close. It's Combat.
Not Cable, name TBD. I'll get you. Plus a lot of their names are like Impact and Combat. So you're like, is that dude's name? Or is this like, are they calling out a move to do? Are they describing their situation? But Combat beats up a robot. And then Coog is like, the Wolverine guy is like, you got to stop beating up that robot. It's had enough. Or it's a grunt. Somebody says it's a grunt. It's hard to say. It looks like the writer and the artist couldn't agree on what they were fighting. Oh no, both those people are Rob Liefeld. But anyway, 4 full pages are devoted to Sci-Fire exploding the head of the villain we just met, who's like Kazam Hussein or whatever the fuck. His eyes vanished in one panel, so I'm like, oh, does he like go blind when he uses his powers? But no, Rob Liefeld just forgot to draw his eyes. Everyone has like different reactions to this. Like again, I'm not kidding when he takes 4 pages to explode this guy with his psionic powers. And then everyone shows up and they're like, dude, did you just explode this guy? So I don't know if they're supposed to take him alive or what. Everyone has different reactions to this in the text, theoretically. But Rob Liefeld can only draw a couple of kinds of faces, and he only drew the shocked one here. So everyone's like, gasp! And then some of them are like, you shouldn't have killed this guy in such a brutal way. Anyway.
And some of them are like, oh, not again. But also,
right. Yeah. But also, wow, I can't believe you did this. Anyway, there's no reason to think they didn't kill 700 people on the way in. So I'm not sure what we as the readers are meant to think. Is it a weird day for Youngblood? Is killing something they tried to avoid usually? Is this like a point of contention? Do some guys like killing and others are like, I think we should be nice? There's a full page fake newspaper article about how this guy killed himself. So like, I guess they're a covert wet work team in superhero costumes who do psyops and assassinations. There's
and
also
are
a gang
the most
on here.
famous people in the world.
Yes.
Which, once again, Rob Liefeld did not consult Rob Liefeld.
There's also a gag about Marvel Comics going under. I think it says Pow Smash Kerplash. Marvel Comics maybe head. And I guess we're supposed to assume heading for bankruptcy. By the way, it's not heading and cut off somewhere. It's head, and then they stopped typing, and there's a blank spot. So, pretty sweet insult when you fucking stumble over it. Anyway, there's also like a bonus comic after that where they go to Washington, D.C. Everyone knows famous home of the pink and green glass skyscrapers that are super easy to draw with a ruler. Some shoplifter tricks Shaft into beating him up, and Shaft is their Hawkeye. But he doesn't have his bow and arrow at the time, so he takes a sniper out with a pen, and the sniper dies going, "How'd gurgle, no arrows." Fantastic writing.
Famous last words.
His feet are amazingly hidden in every single panel. His eyes move around his head. He has the only haircut Rob Liefeld can draw, non-Wolverine version. That's Shaft. The rest of the team gets called in, and some of these people you might know. One's Bad Rock, who's a thing, and then another one is Black Cable. And then there's like the most generic superhero that will ever be. He's just kind of a white and blue Spider-Man guy with Colossus arms and some backpack strap tubes. I don't remember his name. They don't say it in this comic, and I'm not going to fucking look it up. It's probably Cyborg or some fucking shit. They have like a mind-faced Black Cat. I guess she's a Domino. They have a Firestorm. Then they go fight a Juggernaut and a Red Cable. It is the whole comic. It feels like Cow Tools. If you remember the Far Side comic, like you think you recognize some things because they're plainly obvious, but then you see something, you're like, oh no, wait, this isn't anything. Maybe those other things weren't anything either. And then he just kept that going for the entire run of the comic and the rest of his career.
He focuses on like what like is like the coolest part of what's happening. He doesn't care about anything else. So it's like if he's like going to make you like a hamburger, he just gives you like some bacon and a burger and just it puts it on in front of you. Like, here, eat. Here's my cheeseburger, and you're like, dude, where's the rest of this stuff?
I didn't want to draw the bun.
Just eat it now.
That's another thing. Like, I will say I came out of the documentary, The Image Revolution. I came out of that so much more on Rob Liefeld's side than ever. Because he was so young. He was so fucking young when he did all of this. And not only young, but like he made it seem like he had not really been drawing comics before this. Like he'd been drawing comics for like, I don't know. I think he was working for like a total of 4 years. And it seemed like was not drawing comics on his own for very long before that either. So he was just coming in completely overwhelmed. And then somebody said, now you're the most famous person in the world at this. Yep. And he was like, well, I mean, I guess fuck yeah. But on the other hand, what? Yeah. And you get such a like positive himbo impression from him. Like there's no ill will to him. He was so happy that when they started all building their own studios at Image. And so he just started hiring everybody that seemed like they wanted to party. And like all of the other, like Jim Lee had his studio and he took very carefully, like plotted out to take all of the most like diligent workers, the people who put in like all of this overtime and were super serious. And Mark Silvestri had his studio, and he's like stealing all of the great artists. And Todd McFarlane is over here, and he's just doing Spawn, and he doesn't want to do anything else. Everybody else is like branching out, and he's like, no, fuck you, Spawn. And Rob Liefeld is over here just grabbing the youngest dudes he could find that like to party and like just living in the office with them. He bought them all like matching leather jackets and sports cars, and they were just
They're
like
the coolest.
It's just what would happen if you gave a 13-year-old boy unlimited power and control, which is obviously a nightmare.
Well, the funny thing is like Todd McFarlane to me is like a 13-year-old boy dream come true, where he's like, I'm gonna draw Spider-Man. I'm gonna give him cool webs. I'm gonna make a toy company. And he does it. He lived the dream. I have to give him credit there. But like Rob is like the nightmare version of that.
I think it's reversed. I think Rob is the ideal version of that. Here's what it is. Rob is the 13-year-old, right? That gets all of that. Mm-hmm. And Todd McFarlane is the 17-year-old that like still hanging out with the 13-year-old because nobody else will hang out with him. Like he's just like, and the 13-year-old Rob thought Todd McFarlane was the coolest fucking guy in the world. Why? Because Todd McFarlane kept telling him, I'm the coolest fucking guy in the world.
Coolest fucking guy.
And everybody else is like, why does he keep saying that? And Rob was like, holy shit, is that true? Holy shit. And he wants to hang out with me?
I think that the thing that defines them is all the people you mentioned became so accomplished. Like Jim Lee like took over as like the head of productions at DC, and like Todd McFarlane, his toy company became hugely successful and kind of innovated in a lot of things. And all the other guys became more and more talented and created more and more interesting IPs. And Rob Liefeld literally never learned how to draw better than he knew in 1992 in a way that should not be possible.
In the same way that like Vanilla Ice never learned to rap better. Like, why would he? For some reason, he had no talent, and we were like, you're the best in the world. That will just destroy a human brain. Like, a human brain that is still trying to grow, that's how you eliminate it. That's how you just put a cap on the human potential.
You mentioned, like, the remastered Youngblood, because I noticed that, like, there were some pages that were added, 20 years after the original one. But in the time that passed, there's a character called, like, I think just Cross. He has a scar on his eye. It changes places on within 2 panels. It goes from this is 20 years of growth. He doesn't care.
He doesn't care.
No.
Yeah. But not in a good way, not in a passionate, artistic way. Just like, I don't even remember if I'm supposed to care about this shit. I don't know. I think the thing that struck me about Image Comics is that like it kind of felt a little bit new, but absolutely built on the bones and ruins of ancient ideas. Like, sometimes they have an interesting take on superheroes, but like everything's so cliche. Like this is obviously just a Wolverine, or this is obviously just Spider-Man, or like everyone has amnesia. Like we don't even care about interesting ways to tell a story.
Their two biggest launch titles were both RoboCop.
Yes. So I think for the most part, these are all just like mediocre pitches that Stan Lee wouldn't get. And I think I might have accidentally solved the true origin of this entire fucking company right there. Fine, Stan Lee, you don't like my RoboCop Spider-Man idea? I'll just start my own company.
But imagine being Stan Lee and being like, get this fucking kid out of my office, and then opening the paper the next day and being like, the best selling everything of all time?
Yeah.
What? Like, how did this not lead, I don't know, half the staff at Marvel and DC just jumping out the window like stockbrokers in the Great Depression? Just... I don't know how you survived this. You're a stronger person than me to survive this.
Yep. It's hard to take their side, but their spite led them to great success, and they annihilated their enemies. I think Marvel like almost went bankrupt, or did go bankrupt like within a year or two.
Ever the Showman, Todd McFarlane had a great quote in that documentary where he said like, somebody had it about Todd McFarlane, and then he chimed in. He was looking at the desperate turns that Marvel and DC started taking with like Death of Superman and like the whole what was it, Nightfall with the backbreaking. Somebody's setting him up for this to be like to take a kind of hero's quote, and what he says is, "We killed Superman. We broke Batman's spine."
Todd,
are you rooting for you? Do you know you're supposed to like? Are you the heel in your own life?
Now who wants to fuck my wife?
Einstein, Hunter, Frankfurt.